Welcome to Tech Photo Blog. This is episode number 43. This week I'm going to be going over the new software that I've just released for the Camera X5 and the Camera X5 Shield. The new software is 5.3. This software has added a lot of new features that I want to go over and tell people about so they're aware of them. Before I do that though, I just wanted to let everybody know about the poll that's happening on the Camera X forums right now. So if you just go to dreamingrobots.com/forums, you'll go to the Camera X forums, and then this will be one of the sticky threads on the forum for the next 6 days. I'm having a poll where people can vote for the new name of a programmable multi-flash device that I'm making and going to be releasing in the future, and I just wanted everybody to get out there and vote for their favorite name. If you're watching this any later than early April, then the voting will be over and you can ignore it. Now back to the software update. So if you just go to camerax.com, it'll take you to this page, and then you click on the programming link, and this tells you a little bit about how easy it is to upload new versions, and you can see the new version 5.3 is already been uploaded. I've added in a new gravity menu sensor, and this uses the projectile sensor to actually calculate when an object will either splash into some liquid or hit the ground and shatter, so it sort of helps with that type of shot. Don has written a stacker, which uses a rail to put a bunch of photos together to do depth stacking, and allows you to get a larger depth of field than would be possible normally. He's also added a panoramic mode and a general jog mode for the motor sensor. So all of those will use the motor sensor on the Camera X. And then he also added an irRemote feature, and you can see on the forums how to make a sensor for that. I don't currently have one available of my design, but Don came up with one, and if you do that, then you can trigger cameras via their irRemote port. I've updated the LCD libs to work with the new Arduino software. So Arduino 1.0 came out, and it broke a bunch of the code I was using in the Camera X. So I've updated this version to work with Arduino 1.0. Also, part of moving to 1.0 is they changed the endings of all the files. So I changed all the files from PDE files to INO files, which are the new standard. I added a feature that allows you to easily add in new menus and remove them, and the Camera X ships with the most commonly ones enabled, but people can go and enable more if they want. I'll show you how to do that in a little bit. The bulb mode on the advanced sensor menu, I changed that from 0 to 99 seconds to 0 to 999.9 seconds because some people wanted to have finer granularity, so I added the decimal, and they also wanted a longer possible duration on the bulb mode. I moved all of the strings in the code into a single file to make translations easier. There's already been 2 translations of the one translation of the manual and a second translation into Portuguese is in progress, and I think that I want to see if they'll actually translate the actual Camera X software, so I tried to make that translation process easier. I started using this PROGMEM feature, which basically just reduces the SRAM usage on the Arduino chip, which we were starting to run out of with all of these new menus. This makes it so that's no longer a problem. I've added an eeprom size so that the new program, so that the Camera X will reload the defaults when you update the menus. I was noticing if you didn't do this, there'd be some weirdness that could happen every once in a while. So there's a bunch of new features I added to the valve sensor, so I'm going to go through a list of those right now. I added a third drop to the valve sensor, which a lot of people were asking for. I increased the max value of the flash delay auto increment from 9 to 99 milliseconds, which allows you to add bigger increases of the delay when you're trying to make a video sequence of valve shots. I also added seconds between shots to the valve sensor. I added number of shots to the valve menu. I added number of repeats to force multiple shots using the same value. And the reason I added all of those was to make video sequences easier for the valve sensor. You can read a lot more about all of those in the manual that I'm also releasing at this time, so I'll put a link to that in the show notes for this episode. And the menu will talk about most of these new features. I'm sorry, the manual will talk about most of these new features that I added, so definitely go and check that out if you're interested in more details. I also changed the default drop size to 4 with the valve, because the new valve sensor that I'm shipping works better with that value than the old sensor. But you can still change that back so that it is compatible with the old valve valve sensor if you're still using that. I fixed a bug in the intervalometer where seconds and minutes weren't being properly clamped to 59. I cleaned up how the decimal is handled in the code, and that reduced the code size because it was a simplification. I increased the amount of time for the shutter to open in the valve menu, and this allows certain cameras with slower shutters to work properly. Found a few cameras that weren't working with the old setting. In that same vein, I increased the delay for camera shutter again, only this time it was on the stacker and the panorama menus. And the last thing I'm going to mention is I fixed a bug in the backlight option so that it now will turn off after 10 seconds like it was supposed to. So that's a really quick summary of the features. There's a lot of new features, as you can see. So definitely, go and explore them on your own, or check out the manual if you want more details about them. Also, ask any questions you have on our forums. The members there are extremely responsive, and I also respond to any posts that I get to that haven't already been answered by some of the great members in the CameraX forums. So now I just want to point out at the bottom, it sort of walks you through all of the steps on how to load new software to the CameraX. But I'm going to sort of give you a real quick summary. You should definitely read through this. It talks about how to install drivers and how to install the software. But assuming you've got all of that done, I wanted to just sort of show you what you do. So you just go, you bring open the Arduino software, and you go to open, then you maneuver to the CameraX. So here's the CameraX 5.3 software. This is what you've downloaded and unzipped. Oops, I didn't show you that, did I? So yeah, you just download the software from this same page, and here's the 5.3. If you click on that, it'll download the zip file for you. Anyways, so you've downloaded that zip, you've extracted it. Now you go to the CameraX software, and then there's this camerax.ino file. This is the one you open, and it will actually open up all of the other tabs, and you can click down here and see all the tabs. Oh, you can't quite see that. If you click this side arrow, it'll open up all of the tabs, and you might not be able to see them all in your menu. But the main one that I wanted to show you here is sort of this area of the code. You can see that by default we have these menus enabled. If you want to enable or disable other menus, all you have to do is delete the 2 slashes, and now the gravity menu is added. And if you want to remove one of the menus, you just put 2 slashes in front of one of the options, and then it's removed. It's as simple as that. And the reason I don't have them all enabled is, well, one of the reasons is to reduce complication, and most users aren't going to be using these menus. They're also not as proven as these first four menus. Also, if you enabled every single one of these and tried to download the software, we'll just try to do that. So if we try to verify it, you'll see it gives you an error and it says the sketch is too big. Basically, it's 32,614 bytes, and I can only fit 30,700. So it's about 2 kilobytes too big. Now, if I just remove, let's just say I don't have an IR sensor, and I try to upload it. I think it's going to fit now. Yep. So that only used, oh, that was really close. So that was just under the limit, but all of these other menus have fit, and we're uploading them. It'll take a little while to do that. And there it's done. So here you can see the new CameraX software that's been loaded onto a CameraX. And I don't really have time to go through all of the new options and all of the new menus, but I'll just sort of scroll through them. There's not really much change to the advanced sensor menu. The projectile sensor menu is also the same. Gravity menu is new, so it's set up kind of like the projectile menu. The valve menu has a lot of new features to it, and if you want to understand all of these, you're going to have to go to the manual and take a look at that. I also have a separate video on the valve menu that has most of these features on, although I've added a few since that video. But you could get a general feel of how the valve menu works in that prior video. The intervalometer is pretty much the same. The stacker menu, so this uses a sensor motor. This is all new. The panorama menu is all pretty much the same. And the jog motor, the panorama menu is all new, and the jog menu here is all new as well. And then in the general settings, this is all pretty much the same. And it says it's version 5.3 up in the top there. So if you have any questions about any of these different menus, definitely check out the user manual or ask questions on the forum. Try it out for yourself, whatever fits your style better. And thanks for watching.